If he's scared, you have a tattoo?
Yeah, I've always had a tattoo.
Not you. It's the 1980s, and David, a 7-year-old Korean-American boy, is faced with new surroundings and a different way of life when his father moves their family from the West Coast to rural Arkansas to work on a chicken sexing farm. So, this movie's fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies from last year. It's technically coming out this year. It had a small release last year. We saw it at some film festival in October. Chris saw it a couple hours ago.
Yep, just watched it.
Yeah, it's so basically it is the American dream. And it's nice that we're seeing that through other people's eyes that aren't white. So I don't know. It's got some incredible performances. Steven Yeun's great, but I'm getting really pissed because my favorite actress from last year was Han Yuri, and that's the woman that plays his wife. I think she's the best part of this movie. And everybody's only talking about Steven Yeun and the lady who plays a grandma.
Well, they were all fantastic,
they're
honestly.
great.
It is kind of weird that he's only getting talk when every single person in this is great, except for the kids.
You know, the kid, the boy is, the girl doesn't get that much to do, but the boy is so good.
I'll agree. He is, yeah. And that takes a lot for me to say, but yeah, I agree. The kids are good in this.
I was thinking about this the other day. I think this is what I was hoping Hillbilly Elegy would be, in that this shows like a family that's struggling in a way that doesn't seem exploitive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's not mean-spirited like Hillbilly
It's not
Elegy
mean-spirited.
is,
It just makes you feel like, oh my gosh, how are they going to get out of it? Not, look at these poor people.
It's a beautiful little gem of a movie. Though.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's quiet and like, I mean, it's mostly not in English, and that should never be a problem, but you don't notice. Like, you really don't. No. Everything is incredible. I don't know. I just really enjoyed it.
The acting in this is so good. It's so not over the top. It's so they all just land their planes perfectly. I mean, they all hit their mark. It's all around just amazing.
It's very well directed too. Like the direction they were given and how they were told to be in these scenes, it was really good. The direction was particularly good, I think.
So Lee Isaac Chung directed this, and it's partly based on his life, which is interesting.
I was wondering about that.
The relationship between the boy and his grandma is awesome.
Yes, it is.
But everybody is incredibly understated in this, including the kids, because a lot of times you get overacting. And like, I know
that's the biggest problem with kids.
Yeah. Well, and like in a showy awards movie, like you're going to get people that are acting, and like that's they did in Hillbilly Elegy. Since you brought it up, there's a lot of acting. I enjoyed the acting in that from two people, but it just feels like you're watching real people. Like you're just the camera just happens to be there, and you're watching these people's lives, and I love that.
And it's so well shot too that you don't feel that way. It doesn't feel like, oh, this camera is here. It feels like you are really just watching this happening, you know?
Right.
You never think about where the camera is in this ever. You never are reminded that this is a movie. It is so well shot and edited, and it's just really good. You are always in it. You're never taken out of it. The camera work was really good.
So,
sorry.
I was gonna say, one thing I really liked, because to me, this in a lot of movies, not many people can do this right, was the wife and the husband and her like quiet, I don't want to say resentment, but anger towards them. There's times where you can tell she's super pissed, but she does it with like almost no dialogue.
God, it's so good.
And to me, it's even better, or it's even more impressive because she does it at times where us seeing it subtitled, she literally can't do it with dialogue. It's all in her eyes and her mannerisms, and she does it so well.
Yeah, she does.
Perfect. Like, to me, most people either understate it or way overstate it, and she just hits it perfect.
She was one of my favorite performances all last year, and I'm just so mad that there's no awards buzz behind her.
It's crazy to me that she isn't getting talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was fantastic. I liked the grandma a lot. I think she was probably my favorite character. I loved her through this. She was so
Yeah.
good. She like had most of the best moments of this movie were with her and the little boy. But she in particular, I loved her. I loved her character and her personality. She was really really well written
Yeah.
and well acted.
She is almost a lock for an Oscar nomination. I know she got she didn't get the Globe, she got the SAG nomination, and she got the Critics' Choice, and she's kind of getting predicted to possibly win now, which I think is awesome.
Wow.
The grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
I would like that.
I don't say the wife shouldn't be talked about because anyone else doesn't deserve to. It just surprised me that she isn't also being talked about.
Right. Like everyone is great. I just thought she was like she stood out to me,
Yeah.
But
the only reason I think maybe she's not, and not that I agree with it, is kind of like we said earlier. She's very understated.
mm-hmm.
She doesn't do a lot of.
Well, the grandma gets to have a bigger part. Like she
right
is a
the
bigger
grandma
character.
just gets to me, just gets a more expressive part.
Yeah, she has a much bigger personality than anyone else. Everyone else is really restrained and subdued. Like the wife, she's really restrained and graceful, and like she keeps everything to herself and is strong for the family because she feels like she has to carry that weight, which she vocalizes several times. So she is very composed. So she doesn't get to act out as much like that and have like a big personality, but it's executed really well. Like those tiny moments with her are amazing.
I think the score is incredible.
It is. It is
awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really good. I was so into the music. I was watching it thinking like I would listen to this music just in my normal day. It was so good.
It also has like a really rich, like contextualized sense of place, which and like growing up, like this takes place in Arkansas, but it was shot in Oklahoma. So like I didn't grow up in the 80s, I grew up in the 90s, but like I grew up on a small farm and like I grew up in a very country place, and like it's got all that down. Like I don't know, I just felt like I was at my grandparents' house and stuff like that a lot of the times. I enjoyed it a lot. It was easy to relate to, even though they're not the same. Like I think a lot of times Hollywood gets afraid to tell like minority stories because they're like, how are the audiences going to relate to it? Like if our audience is predominantly white, how are they going to relate to it? It's because we relate to the characters. We don't relate to the color of their skin. That shouldn't matter. And I think this does it so well, and it's so easy to relate to.
Yes, absolutely.
But
I think it does a good job of how do I say this? Like you don't see throughout the movie, he doesn't feel like he's a minority in America. It's more like he's an American who happens to be a minority. Like you feel like he really is the American dream. Like you really get that feeling. In a very like not, what am I trying to say? Like not in an overwhelming way, just in a very real, visceral way.
I think they do a really good job of portraying the community too, in the way that they like rallied around them basically and supported them and just welcomed them into the community, even though that they were different. And these people obviously did not understand like a lot of their cultural things that they did. And I thought that they did a really good job of emphasizing that when the kids met, which was like the most realistic conversation, like child conversation I've ever heard in a movie, where they're like, the little girl says, "Stop me if I say something in your language," and then she just starts saying random gibberish, and then she's just saying it over and over, just anything until she finally does, and then the little girl finally goes, "Oh, that's one." And then the other little girl's like, "Wow, that's amazing." And then they like become friends. I was like, that is such a realistic like child conversation to happen. So it was really good in that, like building up the kids, but also emphasizing how these people did not understand where they were coming from, but were still like really welcoming to them and like trying to bring them into the community. So I thought that was really well done too.
Yeah.
I also want to bring up Will Patton's performance was pretty good in this.
Hmm.
He's the neighbor, helper, or whatever he is.
Crazy guy.
Crazy guy. Yeah, it was weird,
Yeah.
very weird, but still very good.
I love Will
Yeah.
Patton. I loved him in Halloween also. Just
Yeah.
want to throw that up
He's
there.
in one of my favorite movies. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he was basically Saint Maud.
but yeah, I thought
For this one, went for the paranormal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, it didn't.
It did not.
But it throw people off.
Yeah,
But
seriously.
I don't even mean this in a mean way, but I mean, and from our small town, Seth, we know people like that. Like,
Chris was from there too.
yeah, I know.
But we do know there are people like that.
No.
Like,
Yeah, okay. But I mean, like, it wasn't done in a mean way. It was just done in
Right.
a, like, there are people that are like this in these towns.
yeah.
Well,
It
and I
may
think
seem mean to other people who don't know actual people like that, but those people do exist. There are plenty of people that are like that out there.
Mhm. And I think so. There's parts where you see like the gossipy church ladies and stuff like that, and like in a movie, I'm gonna bring it up again, but in like Hillbilly Elegy, it's like it's not handled like with care like this is, because like yeah, they're gossipy and like, but they're still real people, and they're like they're treated
They're not
like-
caricatures.
yeah. And I liked it, and maybe they say or do things that aren't the nicest, but he doesn't hate them for it, and there's no disdain towards those characters.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's making fun of them at all.
Well, and
Right.
his reaction, the husband's reaction to Will Patton's weirdness is, I think what a lot of people's reaction would be is like, he acknowledges it. He's like, oh, this is a little weird,
Yeah.
but he's also a nice guy and he's helping me. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm. He's still willing to work with him and have him there
Right.
and allow him into his house and all that, you know?
Allow him around his kids and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that this is one of the best movies of last year, and it made my top 10.
It
Absolutely.
was really good, yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I gave it a 85.
And I gave it an 85.
I gave it a 94. Our number is an 88. So this movie comes out, I believe, this weekend. What is Friday?
19th?
Yeah. So this movie will be out Friday, premium VOD. Rent the hell out of it.
Watch it.
Yeah, it's
worth
great.
the money. It's worth the
Mhm.
money.
It is.
But all right, well, that is all for us this week. This is a little bonus episode because we're stuck in a freaking blizzard. So we thought we would just watch a whole bunch of movies and talk about them. You'll see us again very soon.
And whenever.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening and or watching and or screaming at us while we talk about movies you like that we hated. So we will see you next time. Bye.
See ya.